trying to find out what happened.
Okay, wasn't you just talking to her? Can she provide all them information to you?
Well, let me ask you this. I was just talking to her. What if she told me that you beat the out of her and you jumped on top of her and started punching her in the face? Should I just go ahead and take that as...
but don't you know...
It's your side of the story. Give your side.
All these prescriptions, but you want to be great. Being great is really pushing the envelope. You know what I'm saying?
Gervonta Tank Davis has finally spoken after shocking reports of his arrest and the sudden cancellation of his fight with Jake Paul. The undefeated star now finds himself in the middle of serious allegations that could shift the entire boxing landscape. While his coach and management have remained cautious, the fight world is buzzing, and Jake Paul's highly anticipated November 14th event now hangs in complete uncertainty.
This is a lightweight. So, by all means, if they make a few quid and nobody gets hurt, then great. But I certainly wouldn't be paying a penny to watch it. I think it's just absolutely ridiculous, farcical. Who wants to watch an exhibition? Gervonta Davis is in his prime years. Why is he wasting his time? Why is he having a rematch with the fella he got a draw with? Why is he not fighting? Why is he not going up a weight and fighting Lopez and Garcia's and them fighters? Why is he fighting Jake Paul in an exhibition? I get the money's great, but he's in the prime years. This is his best year. This is where he can become... Maybe you don't want to be an all-time great. Maybe you don't want to do all that stuff. Maybe he just wants to...
A civil lawsuit recently filed in Miami-Dade accuses Davis of several serious offenses, including battery, false imprisonment, and emotional distress. If the claims prove true, they could have massive consequences for both his personal life and career. However, it's important to note as of now, this is strictly a civil case, not a criminal one. That means no additional charges have been filed, but the pressure surrounding Davis continues to build.
WBC lightweight world champion Gervonta Tank Davis was arrested earlier this week for a closed fist slapping his daughter's mother. What's a closed fist slap? Is it like this? Bro, you can't be closed fist slapping women. You can't be slapping women at all. But don't you know your hand is like Thor's hammer? Bro, you can go to jail for even flicking somebody, man. Don't you got a fight coming up? Or are you trying to ruin your career?
So far, Gervonta hasn't made a long public statement. Instead, his camp has quietly responded, saying Tank is doing fine and focused on understanding the situation. It's a deliberate move to keep him out of headlines while lawyers and promoters handle the details. Meanwhile, Jake Paul's company, Most Valuable Promotions, confirmed an internal review is underway. They've condemned any form of violence and stated that final decisions will follow a full investigation. While the fight is still listed, insiders claim it's effectively canceled. Journalist Dame Mara even posted that she's 80% sure the event won't happen. Originally planned for Atlanta but later moved to Miami, the matchup was shaping up as a once-in-a-lifetime clash. Viral star power meets proven boxing greatness.
When a fairly novice Jake Paul made a wish list of future opponents, and right in the middle of that list was Gervonta Tank Davis. Many laughed at the time, and some still can't believe we're here. But these two young men are the face of boxing for Gen Z and Gen Alpha. They are the two biggest boxers in America, and they are putting it all on the line. One has the speed, the skill, the accuracy, and the one-punch knockout power. The other has the size, the force, and the unbreakable confidence to make this must-see Netflix. The size difference is...
The weight rules only made the story more intriguing. Davis, a natural lightweight who dominates between 135 and 140 pounds, was stepping into unfamiliar territory against Jake Paul, a much larger opponent. The official limit was set at 195 pounds, with 12-ounce gloves, a bold move for any fighter giving up that kind of size. Davis had openly questioned the fairness of those terms, yet the spectacle promised record-breaking numbers. Fans were ready for an unpredictable battle that blurred the lines between sport and entertainment.
I want to watch is Tank Davis versus Jake Paul. I want Tank Davis to knock his block off. I'm sick of the Paul brothers, both of them. I can't stand either one of them. And I know I'll get pounded with emails. He's just jealous. No, I'm not jealous of them. I could care less how much money they make. I don't like their attitude. I don't like the way they conduct themselves. I don't like the way they think, you know.
Across social platforms, boxing fans are divided. Some believe Davis is avoiding top-tier rivals like Shakur Stevenson and Teofimo Lopez, choosing instead the massive payday that comes with Jake Paul's fame. Others argue that this crossover bout would have brought fresh eyes to boxing. Either way, the debate proves one thing: Tank Davis remains one of the most talked-about names in the sport, whether people love or criticize his choices.
We wouldn't go ever fight no Shakur Stevenson, no Keyshawn Davis, no Teofimo Lopez, no, none of them dudes. You know what I'm talking about? We got to think and look at Tank Davis's whole career. He done made some bread, but at the end of the day, all that bread that he made, when it's all said and done, he ain't gonna get no respect from his peers, because we gonna look down his resume and we gonna be like, he was trash, he was some trash, he was some trash, he was alright, but he was never like that. He was okay. He was some trash, he was some trash. He ain't.
Originally, Davis was expected to face Lamont Roach in a rematch after their controversial draw a fight that could have added another chapter to his legacy. But once the Jake Paul deal appeared, the entire plan changed. Reports suggested Davis could earn upwards of $50 million for the crossover showdown, with global exposure that no title fight could match. Even analysts like Stephen A. Smith pointed out how modern boxing now favors star power and social reach as much as legacy. For Davis, this wasn't just about another win, it was about conquering both the sport and the spotlight.
He's in a division where he's got killers all in his division. You know, Shakur, Haney, who's 147. You know, you look at Teo, for example, Keyshawn, and then you choose to fight someone like Paul. Surely that's a concern when you do look at it like that.
Yeah, but again, it's the world we're in. If you can get a huge amount of money to fight someone who's never boxed really before, you're going to do it. You know, Floyd Mayweather boxed Logan Paul with a huge weight disparity.
He was done by then.
He
was done. Like, this is an active world champion.
But it's the world we're in.
Yeah.
And that's the truth. You know, when it comes down to it. It's just like Conor McGregor fighting Floyd Mayweather. Two completely different sports. Was the biggest pay-per-view in recent times, wasn't it? Maybe if ever.
Those are like different comparisons, though, if you think about it. Do you not like?
Yeah, but the sport's in a wild place, isn't it? That's just, like, I'm just like the reality of where we are, you know. And I can't really say much when we're talking about Jake Paul fighting Anthony Joshua at the same time.
Yeah.
You know.
Do you think Tank should get stripped of his title?
Yeah, I think anyone who, just in general, doesn't defend their title to do something else should get stripped, because it shouldn't hold the belts up. You know, in any, like, I think that should be the reality in anything. You know, if you're not going to defend your belts, or you're not defending, sometimes there's the rules. Obviously, if you fight for a belt at a higher weight, you can retain the belt until there. But if you're not, don't have intention of defending the belts, you shouldn't hold the belts up. People should get the opportunity to fight for them.
What happened with the failed negotiations between AJ and Jake Paul?
I think anything's still possible. That was always discussed for next year. You know, this fight's November, early part of next.
Former world champion Carl Froch didn't hold back. He called the matchup a complete circus and revealed that Jake Paul was reportedly close to fighting Anthony Joshua before switching to Gervonta. Froch said this move proves Jake values viral attention over true competition. Facing Joshua would have been historic, but choosing Davis, someone half his size, made it clear that spectacle was the goal. Froch's words echoed across the boxing community, reigniting the debate about how fame and fighting now collide.
But the fight against Jake Paul ain't going to happen anyway. It ain't going to happen. We can all believe it. Jake Paul.
Eddie Hearn said it's 99% done.
Because you know what? Jake Paul's done a great job in hustling Eddie.
Yeah.
He's going to get so either Eddie's in on it, or he's let this young man hustling.
Yeah.
And so the kids kidded the kidders.
Well, listen, we've had a chat, we've caught up, we'll have another chat as well in a...
I'm going to do some sunbathing, man.
Days, bit of sunbathing, top up the town.
Yes, I do.
As well.
Black is the number.
Let us know in the comments below who you think wins the fight and what Anthony Joshua should be doing next. Do you agree with us, do you disagree with us? Let us know in the comments below. This has been another episode of Froch on Fighting. Got the main man here, Johnny Nelson, aka
Blickman.
We'll see. He said it, not me. We'll see you on the next episode. Take care. Just here at Los Naranjos in Viva, España, and I found out that Gervonta Davis is now fighting Jake Paul. So Jake Paul was supposed to be fighting AJ. Eddie Hearn announced 99% done, which we've just spoke about. what next for AJ? Potentially Jake Paul. But it now looks like that Jake Paul is fighting one of Anthony Joshua's legs. He's fighting Gervonta Davis, somebody who's a quarter of his size. I don't even know what's going on. Has Eddie Hearn been...
Nakisa Bidarian, co-founder of Most Valuable Promotions, defended the matchup, claiming the size difference wouldn't decide the outcome. He explained that Jake's catchweight request came from his experience, level not an attempt to overpower Davis. Bidarian even revealed that this fight had been discussed long before originally surfacing after Jake's talks with Canelo Alvarez fell through. According to him, Davis himself had been pushing for this matchup for years, and once the timing aligned, both sides made it happen.
Are going to happen November 14th.
Whatever weight they want, man, they're talking about it, and whatever it is, there's going to be a definitive outcome. People can talk about pro, exhibition. We're going to make sure this is as real as it's real.
Why was it, just out of curiosity, why is it not a professional bout and why is it an exhibition? Because I'm sure Jake would have taken the professional bout.
Nothing's been communicated as yet in terms of what it is, right? Similar to, if you remember, with Paul Tyson, when we announced it, we didn't have the weight, we didn't have the rules, particularly in terms of the number of rounds, the minutes, the gloves. It's going to be the same thing here.
Gotcha. Can you just offer us any insight as to how these negotiations went? The reason I ask is because I remember back in March, I was at Tank's fight, and after his fight in his press conference, he was asked, next opponent. He said, well, my next opponent might have been in my locker room tonight, and people asked him, was it Jake? He made reference, he made allusion to. Has this been an ongoing thing, and has it ever, been at a point where it wasn't gonna happen and came back, or was this always the plan?
Always been the plan for Jake to fight Tank once Canelo didn't happen. And to Tank's credit, he's a real bad dude, and he's been calling out Jake for 3 years. And people, it's funny how now they're saying size matters, Jake is big, when for so long it's been Tank would kill Jake Paul.
Bidarian further pointed out that while Jake holds advantages in size, height, and reach, Tank's skill set is on a completely different level. Davis's decade-long career championship record and knockout power speak for themselves. He's fought and beaten elite competition in multiple weight classes. Jake, though improving fast, still hasn't faced anyone as fast, accurate, or experienced as Gervonta Davis. This was shaping up to be more than just a fight. It was a clash of experience versus ambition. Old school mastery versus new age momentum.
Obvious, but so is the skill and experience difference. One man has been doing this for 23 years, since the age of 7. The other picked up the sport 5 years ago and has virtually no amateur experience. So the size difference is what makes this plausible. The king of the jungle here is Tank Davis. He is the lion taking on the young elephant that is Jake Paul. The lion is looking at me like he's about to eat me. The lion is fast, he's fierce, and he's fatal when he strikes. But the young elephant is big, powerful, and hard to knock down. And come Friday, November 14th, the jungle will be set in tropical Miami, Florida, and the world will be watching live.
Joe Rogan offered a balanced take, praising Jake Paul for reviving mainstream interest in boxing, but questioning whether he's ready for someone still at their peak. Jake's previous victories were against aging or crossover athletes, not prime world champions. Rogan said he respects Jake's courage for taking risks, but added, "Followers don't take punches for you. Against Davis, every mistake could be costly and the cameras won't protect him." This fight, he said, would have shown whether Jake's confidence can survive the real test of elite-level boxing.
What if Jake Paul knocks one of them out? Like, what if you get a guy that, like, hasn't been tested and maybe has some promise and maybe gets wrapped up in the hype and maybe gets a little nervous, and this is his first chance at a big show, and Jake Paul can crack.
Yeah.
100%. That knockout of Tyron Woodley is legit as fuck. He can crack.
But Eddie's point in that interview, and I think the point that just about every boxing aficionado would say, is that Tyron Woodley.
Paulie Malignaggi, the respected former two-division champion, admitted the matchup took everyone by surprise. Jake has shocked fans before, but pairing him with a natural lightweight was still unexpected. Malignaggi described it as a bold but risky move, one that proves how far Jake is willing to go to stretch boxing's rules. Still, he reminded fans not to overlook Davis's legacy. Tank's consistency, skill, and achievements have already secured his place among the modern greats.
More to lose because he's the bona fide world champion. I don't care if he's much smaller. I think Jake Paul has sort of plateaued as far as where his boxing is concerned. It's rather low level. He's big, he's physical, he's strong, he can hit. So there is that risk. Davis, at lightweight, you're in a moment where it's too physical for you. You can clinch. Against the heavyweight, where you clinching? You ain't getting out of that corner just clinching anymore if you run out of space. You know what I mean? So it's interesting. But Davis, listen, there's a lot of talking points that I'm sure we'll get into when this gets closer to the fight. Davis can still punch at lightweight. Can he drop a heavyweight? There's a lot to gain there, right? If Davis knocks
the answer is yes.
If Davis drops Jake on his ass, as much as Davis is the one with more to lose, it's still a highlight moment,
a visual that will stay forever.
Yeah, but if you get dropped, even if you're smaller, you're still a world champion, multiple weight classes. If you get dropped, what's the look? What's the feel? On the inside, as boxers, me and Chris Algieri, the champ, even you, Jimmy, you have fight experience, so we know that the risk is a big guy that big hits you. You're probably going down if you're a small guy if he hits you clean. So we know the risk, but how does it look to the public eye who don't understand that? You know what I mean? The public. So there is a lot to lose, though. There's a bit to gain. I wouldn't necessarily have an issue with this had Davis's career arc been one that benefited boxing. Davis was manufactured and put into a position where he's supposed to benefit boxing, and I don't think he has. I think he's hurt boxing. So by giving him this reward, that's my problem. Why are we watching this? Why don't you make him earn his...
Meanwhile, one of Jake's former sparring partners gave a blunt assessment claiming Jake has never been hit like he will be against Davis. He said Jake's confidence comes from stopping older opponents, but Gervonta brings a different kind of power, sharp, fast, and punishing. When Tank lands, he said it's not just about points, it's about impact. He believes Jake will quickly realize that this fight demands more than bravado, it demands survival.
Man, like every single time, people said that Jake would get finished or he would lose a fight, he obviously proved everybody wrong. But I genuinely believe this time, I think that, with Gervonta's boxing IQ and him having Jake come down a little bit in weight, I think Gervonta will beat him, honestly. I think Gervonta will hurt him. I think he'll just use IQ. He'll tire him out a little bit. And, I think he'll land. Gervonta knows how to touch his opponents. But it's interesting because when Floyd fought Logan, the size really made a big, impact. And you saw Floyd struggle, against a big, Ohio corn-fed, wrestling strong dude. And, I've sparred Jake and Logan before, and, they train hard.
You're picking Tank by knockout?
Look, I sparred them years ago.
UFC legend Daniel Cormier added a unique angle, saying Jake Paul's Netflix bout with Mike Tyson redefined what boxing entertainment can look like. Cormier believes Jake's disciplined training commitment and willingness to take tough fights have earned him genuine respect. He sees Jake as a new kind of athlete, one blending social influence with real competition. Whether you love or hate him, Cormier said Jake Paul has changed the conversation.
Twice. Big numbers. Jake Paul fought against Tommy Fury. Big numbers. Jake Paul, who I believe, and I have told you guys this time and time again, he's much better than people give him credit for. One, Jake Paul is not an amateur fighter, like some try to say. Jake Paul has money, so Jake Paul is getting trained by the best boxing coaches that money can buy. He's full-time boxing. There are a lot of people that say he may do some other stuff. I don't know who he was going to fight that was saying that he was juiced up and he was ignoring him. Or was it Logan Paul? One of them. But at the end of the day, this kid's training to be the best fighter in the world, or the best as he can be, and he understands what losing would do to the perception of who he is in fighting. We were yelling so much about him fighting someone. Fight somebody your size. Fight somebody, a real boxer. Stop fighting MMA guys. There were so many things that people were mad about in regards to his level of competition and the people he was competing against. Well, today we learned that Jake Paul has his next opponent. His next opponent is by far the most credentialed guy
So now the question remains, is this fight collapsing because of lack of interest, or is it all part of a bigger business play? With investigations ongoing and fans split online, the future of Gervonta Davis versus Jake Paul hangs in the balance. What do you think? Will this fight ever make it to the ring, or has the hype officially faded away? Drop your thoughts in the comments because this story is far from over.